Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a tool that finally bridges a massive and, let's be honest, pretty frustrating gap in the developer ecosystem. We're talking about connecting Google Workspace directly to your command line. If you've ever wanted to seamlessly control your inbox, your calendar, or your drive right from your shell, you are absolutely in the right place. So let's get started. Well, here's the fundamental problem developers face pretty much every single day. Google's web interface is fantastic for humans, right? But it was absolutely never designed to be piped into a JSON processor like JQ. It just wasn't built for automation, scripting, or crucially, AI agents. If you want to do something as simple as script a calendar event or export your Gmail filters, you usually hit a massive brick wall. Okay, let's dive into this and lay out our roadmap. 1. The workspace automation problem. 2. Meet Gogcli, the terminal adapter. 3. Course setup and architecture. 4. Scripting your daily work. 5. Empowering OpenClaw AI agents. And finally, 6. Safety, guardrails, and profiles.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the workspace automation problem.
Just contrast the traditional nightmare of writing custom Google API integrations against what we actually want. Historically, you'd have to write out all this custom code, manage a ton of complex OAuth boilerplate, and deal with inconsistent API endpoints literally just to read an email. It's a deeply familiar pain for anyone who has ever stared blankly at Google's developer console, but with Gogcli, you get a one-time auth setup, simple pipeable shell commands, and beautifully predictable JSON output. It's a total game changer. Moving right along to Section 2, meet Gogcli, the terminal adapter. And just to show you that this isn't some niche experimental weekend project, Gogcli boasts over 7,300 GitHub stars. So this project has some serious community validation behind it. Developers are actively using this out in the wild to solve real productivity bottlenecks every single day. Now, what's really interesting about this design contract is the strict output separation. It's basically a superpower. By pushing all the machine-readable JSON directly to standard output and strictly keeping all the human hints and progress bars over on standard error, Gogcli becomes an absolute dream for terminal piping. Your scripts and AI tools won't just suddenly choke on a random, unexpected progress bar. Let's move into Section 3, Core Setup and Architecture. Let's move to and see how this builds because initialization is surprisingly simple. It's just a one-time OAuth setup post. You create a Google Cloud project, enable the APIs you actually need, download your desktop OAuth client JSON, and then you simply run go-auth add. And boom, that's it. You are authenticated and ready to go. Of course, if you're running this in a containerized environment, like Docker or a headless CI server, you aren't going to have a desktop keying daemon to securely store your tokens. But GoGoCLI handles this beautifully. You just use the environment variable GoGoKeyring backend equals file to securely switch over to an encrypted file backend. It's a really elegant architectural workaround. And the sheer scale of supported services here is massive. You aren't just getting basic email access. You can search Gmail, audit drive shares, manage calendar conflicts, and even export Google Docs as Markdown. It's essentially a comprehensive workspace Swiss Army knife living right in your terminal. Which brings us to Section 4, scripting your daily work. Notice this clean, predictable syntax here. Finding unread mail is literally as simple as typing Go Gmail search with standard Gmail query syntax and just passing that -JSON flag. Creating a calendar event is exactly as intuitive. It makes interacting with your inbox or calendar entirely frictionless. And developers are absolutely going to love these advanced capabilities. You can instantly switch between your personal and work Google accounts using the GOG account environment variable. You can export raw API JSON for much deeper scripting. You can even convert Markdown files directly into Google Docs right upon upload. Plus, you can perform read-only audits on your drive and contacts to check permissions safely. Seriously, the utility here is fantastic. Let's pivot slightly for Section 5, empowering OpenClaw AI agents. Because to be truly useful, an AI agent needs hands and eyes in the environments where knowledge workers actually live. OpenClaw relies entirely on tools that can act. Without a clean CLI layer like Gogcli, an AI has to rely on really brittle web scraping or try to write its own complex OAuth boilerplate. Gogcli is the missing piece that gives OpenClaw direct, structured access to your digital life. And this brilliantly illustrates why it's so perfect for AI. When a large language model reads your email, it really doesn't need all that raw HTML or hidden tracking pixels confusing its context window. Flags like -sanitize content specifically strip out all that noise, feeding perfectly clean, normalized, tracker-free data straight to your OpenClaw agents.
Finally, Section 6, Safety, Guardrails, and Profiles.
Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the inherent terror of giving a script or an AI access to your personal email and drive. It's scary, right? But the release notes show robust security features built specifically to protect your data. You can use runtime allowable lists to restrict an agent to only reading your calendar, for example. You can apply a hard-Gmail no-send guardrail. You can even compile entirely separate, baked agent safe binaries that are physically incapable of executing destructive commands.
And here's a massive pro tip if you're actually developing OpenClaw skills. Always use the gogauth check command during your skills initialization. Auth failures are by far the most common issue you'll run into. This simple command will catch expired OAuth tokens right away, before your agent fails awkwardly right in the middle of a complex task.
So the crucial point here is transparently understanding the practical limits you'll need to navigate. Workspace-only APIs, like the admin directory, they do require a managed domain. Google Photos access is strictly limited to media created by the app itself. And if you don't publish your personal OAuth app, Google is going to expire your testing tokens every 7 days. You definitely need to plan accordingly.
So, we've seen how Gogcli completely transforms Google Workspace from a rigid web interface into a fluid, scriptable, and totally AI-ready toolkit. It handles all the auth headaches, it normalizes the output beautifully, and it provides the exact safety guardrails you actually need. The tools are right there, waiting for you. So I leave you with this. What will you automate now that your workspace is in your terminal? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy building.